Hello, everyone. Hello. A new month is coming to an end, so it's time for a new Xeon Orchestra release. And before letting Oliver go through all the new features that we have developed this month, I just wanted to say a word about the VMware acquisition by Broadcom. Because obviously it's a big thing in the virtualization world. So just to let you know that basically we are monitoring the situation to know what it will mean for the people that are using VMware. And if some of you are already VMware customers, maybe you could be interested in our case study that we wrote about a month ago, because it's not a new thing for us to have some VMware newcomers. We have more and more people that are coming from the VMware world and that are migrating to XCP and Hyper-V and Xeon Orchestra. And so it's something that we are closely monitoring, because we are expecting that this acquisition might bring more and more people to our solution. So that's a very interesting time to be in the virtualization world. Do you have something that you would like to add, Oliver, about that
No, I
topic?
think that's a good wrap on the current situation.
Okay, so let's dive in the new release. We have some stuff to cover. So first of all, the backup features, Oliver.
Yes, so thank you, Mark, for the intro. So in terms of backup, the biggest feature that will be available in this release is the auto restore check. So we introduced the concept during the last release that you could manually perform a restoration of your backup to check if it works. So basically what it does is simple. It takes your latest backup you've done, and then it will try to import it, disable all the network cards, the virtual network cards on your VMs, and then try to see if the tools are booted after starting the backup. And so it means that if it boots, it's very likely that the backup is working completely. So that's great. So in this release, what we did is a bit different, where we decided to directly allow the possibility to automatically restore a backup after a backup job. So it means you will be able to check if the VMs you want. So you could use VM tags to specify some, for example, very important VMs to be tested, and you just select the tags. It's an OR condition, so any VMs having at least one of this tag will be restored automatically after this schedule. And you could also see if the health checks or the auto restore feature worked thanks to the backup message, the backup alerts that you could have if the backup works or not. So if you configured that by email, Slack, Mattermost, whatever, then you could have a confirmation that everything went well from the transfer to the restore. So it's another way to be sure that your backup are actually working. So this is really a new kind of safety. Beyond that, in the little green text, if you don't want to restore your VMs after each, for example, nightly backup, you can edit your existing backup job and create a specific schedule where you will enable that feature. So, for example, you could have the auto restore check done only the weekend while you are doing backups every night for the rest. So it's a backup job with two schedules, one to make the nightly and the other one to do the weekly tests of your latest backup. So that's a very powerful tool to be able to double check all your backups are not just done, but also valid, which is really important because we already know that if you think your backup are working and there's a silent corruption somewhere, that could be a really bad surprise when you want to restore them. So that's another mechanism that is testing them functionally speaking, despite we already have some different protection already to check the chain of backup and so on. So it's another check to be on the safe side of things. Still on the backup topic, we had some requests to be able to back up virtual machines that have a virtual USB device attached. So for example, if you have a crypto key or even a small USB key for use for license check for whatever proprietary tool, that's software that you can use. Right now, in the API of AxiPNG and Zen Server, you can't snapshot your VMs while the device, the vUSB device, is attached. So what we did in Zen Orchestra is allowing you, if you do an offline snapshot backup, to automatically unplug the vUSB device to snapshot it, and then when the snapshot is done, to replug it and boot the VM. So it means in the end of the day, you will have the backup you have for your virtual machine, but without any issue by unplugging manually the vUSB device like you had to do before. So now even your vUSB VMs could be backed up automatically through Zen Orchestra. The other point regarding backups is the NOBAK tag that you could use directly in the name of a disk. So if you wanted in the past with Delta Backup not to export all the disks for your VM, for example, you have a temporary disk used to store any kind of temporary files, then you could use the NOBAK tag directly editing the name of the disk, and that would be ignored by Zen Orchestra Backup, and then it means it won't be transferred to the backup repository. However, it worked only with Delta Backup. So what we did is to improve the mechanism to also have NOBAK working with full basic backup using XVAs. So basically what we do is when we do the snapshot, we unplug the extra unneeded disks before exporting the whole VM. So this is also possible to do a NOBAK with the basic backup feature. And finally, on the backup side of things, we added a cache system when you wanted to restore the machine. So you had to go into the backup restore view. And previously we had to, each time you were visiting this page, we had to load all the metadata of all your backups, and it could take a lot of time. So what we did is to use a cache system to store the data if it's not changed between two visits. So now restoring view is displaying a lot faster, which is really helpful when you are stressed if you want to restore a backup because you are losing data for any reason. So that's all for the backup aspects. So now we will switch to the management. So regarding the management, we added a new, let's say, check for the rolling pull update. So it's called RPU v3 because every time we improve the whole algorithm, then we are adding new features to check and to be sure this won't cause any issue when you're doing this rolling pull update. And in this version, what we did is to detecting if you have active backup running on your pool or you'll have planned backup on your pool. And so if we detect that, then we will automatically either wait if there is a running backup or either disable the backup jobs. So you will be sure there won't be any interference when you are rebooting the host automatically while doing a backup job behind. So it's another safety helping you to just with one click, not asking any question anymore. Do I have any backup job running? You don't have to care anymore. It's checked automatically by the rolling pull update mechanism. In the meantime, we improve various different aspects, like the web updater you have in XOA. It's more robust now, so even if you have, for example, an XOA reboot while you are doing using the updater inside it, then this won't break anything anymore. We added the demand and a default filter view for the storage repository. You know that already inside the home VM and home host view, you could, for example, save your default view, like only displaying VMs that are having this kind of, being running or halted whatsoever. And we added that possibility for the storage repository view. So, for example, if you only want to display the shared repository inside it and save it, you can, and then you can configure that for your active users on Zen Orchestra. Another cool feature, which meaning that we are still making progress on the REST API, is the disk import feature, meaning that we are able now through directly the REST API to import a VHD disk directly inside the storage repository. And it's done automatically without the need to previously create the disk inside XCPNG and telling the size, and then getting the content of the VHD file inside this disk. This API call is doing that in a smart way, so it will analyze the VHD header and footer and will be able to know the size, the final size of the disk, so we'll directly create the right size disk. So this is really helpful if you have a VHD file and you want to import it directly without asking too many questions, with just a curl command from another hypervisor, for example, then it will be really helpful to you. And we are committed to continue to improve the API to maybe even provide new endpoints with ability to directly convert other formats or other even configuration file from other hypervisor to help you to transition from, I don't know, VMware, Proxmox, Hyper-V to XCPNG. So this is something we continue to work on because this is really important. And finally, some news on Lite and XO6. So there is some progress made, especially on Lite. We have a new theme, a dark theme that will use our new colors, a new theme we are doing from the Vates logo to the Xan Orchestra and XCPNG. So we'll show you a blog post for this next month in June. So we'll have a blog post explaining all the new components and so on. So stay tuned. And regarding SO6, the same thing. It's a more technical work as Lite is more focused on the UX and XO6 is more focused right now on the technical aspects. So basically, we are working on unifying objects collection to get a better system in general. So Julian will make a blog post explaining this also for the next month. So if you want to be sure to not miss anything regarding the next news we'll have in Xan Orchestra outside the usual releases, feel free to register if it's not done yet in our mailing lists. And by the way, this is a mailing list we use only internally, and it won't be shared to anyone because it's entirely self-hosted. We are using open source projects to deal with those emails, like Motic, for example, and all the database, and even Motic itself is running inside our own data center, running on top of XCPNG and Xan Orchestra. So all the data is kept directly inside our own secure data center. So that's it for this release. If you have any question, then let me know. Mark, do you have any closing thoughts?
No,
on
I
your
think
side?
you covered pretty much everything. So if we don't have any question, just know that as usual, the blog post will be available in a matter of minutes, I guess. So just the time for us to put the replay of this very live into the blog post. And the release will be available shortly for the latest release branch. So don't forget that if you want to try all the new features, you will need to switch maybe your release branch to be able to get all the new stuff. And if you want to have a more guaranteed stable release, you need to stay on the stable branch. And all the features that we discussed will be available in 30 days for the next release, basically. All right, so I don't see any question in the chat, so I think we are done here. Thank you everyone for being there with us for each release, and see you for the next one.
See you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.